From RTV6 Sports, live at Palomino Restaurant downtown, this is Horseplay.
And here we are, the first Monday of November at the Palomino downtown, as it is the middle point of the season and the Colts on the road. But we are right here as we continue our coverage on the IndyChannel.com and your RTV6 app. Brad Brown, Mike Chappell, thanks for joining us here on Horseplay for week number 9 as we get set for the Colts and the Giants tonight. Monday Night Football coverage starts at 5 o'clock right on RTV6. And we will have coming along here in just a minute, Jim Sorgi's going to be giving us a call from out east with the team. Dave First and Michael Gray to be checking in as well, and we'll just kind of see where it goes from there. I'm sounding better. For those of you who may have watched the show, I'm going to have some hot tea while Chap says hi. And
is that Irish tea? Is that what that is? Is there some?
Ooh, that might be good.
Rum in there?
It's going to be a good show by the end of 1 o'clock here today. So we've kind of talked about this coming in. The bounce back ability of this team over the last couple of years under Chuck Pagano really going to be tested with this game tonight.
Yeah, it's one of those 50-50 things. You really like the way they bounce back, but you wonder why they have to bounce back from getting laced like that. Yeah. But they have shown that resilient nature, and it starts at the top with the way Pagano runs things. And when you've got a quarterback that doesn't get too high, too low, because he gets pretty high when he gets jacked up, but you sort of follow your leader, and that's what they've done. But it's been impressive. They've lost back-to-back games once since Pagano and Luck have been here, and that was the first 2 games this year against Denver and Philly. So I'm not saying they're going to win tonight, but they will play well regardless.
The culture of this team with level-headed coaches, Dungy, Caldwell, Pagano, guys that don't get too riled up. Guys that
before that you had Jim Mora.
And Jim Mora before that, kind of the polar opposite on that. I guess the culture of this team you talk about has been to be just kind of steady and stay the course.
Which is totally opposite of fans and media.
Yeah.
Because, again, let's keep in mind, like 6 weeks ago, everybody was burying the New England Patriots.
Right.
Now, not so much.
Right.
You got to have you have reactions and all this, but you don't have the seismic shifts that people have. You've got to sort of stay the course, and I know fans hate that. And the one thing we always hate to hear with Chuck Pagano is we're going to stick to the process.
Stick to the process.
The process got your butt kicked last week in Pittsburgh, but by and large, over the long haul, it does pan out. That's why I'll be shocked. I'll be absolutely shocked if they don't play well tonight.
Yeah. We got a cast of thousands on the show here this afternoon. Jim Sorgi is our first call in here. Jim is out east with the team. He'll be part of the Colts Radio Network broadcast here this evening when they get fired up. Jim, kind of give me a sense of what you're feeling out of these guys as we've talked about this bounce back, the ability of this team to kind of come back from giving up 50-plus against the Steelers and not necessarily a must-win, but they need to show something here tonight.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I mean, it's been just kind of quiet confidence. I mean, steady as the way of this team. You guys talked about it, on the plane, on the bus. I mean, the team is just quietly confident that they're going to come in here and put a good performance on the field. But I think it's kind of churning underneath the surface. It's like the water is calm on top, and underneath the currents are moving. And I think they're excited to play Monday Night Football, primetime, another primetime game. Just kind of shows you where this program has gotten to. Go from 2 years ago where you didn't have rarely any primetime games to have, and already this is our 4th this season. And I think they know they got to put a good product on the field, get back to the ways of Colts football, especially after the performance they put on last week. And I think they're ready to do that. I think the coaching staff has prepared them all week. I don't think anybody has really gotten too panicked over the situation of what happened last week. They just kind of know it was a tough place to play against a tough opponent, and they kind of ran into a buzzsaw, and I don't think they're going to let that happen this week, even though, you're playing a dangerous opponent. You're playing an opponent that is missing a couple of key guys, but still they got the playmakers on offense and on defense to really make your life rough on primetime football for 3 hours, and they know that, and they know they got to jump on this team early and often and get that lead and get back to the basics that the kind that we were doing during the 5-game win streak.
Jim, you've sort of been through this with coaches before that had this temperament and the quarterback. Doesn't it start there with the quarterback and the head coach on you don't get too high, Luck is extremely fiery on the field, but they don't ride that wave of emotion game to game. Maybe that's why they're able to put a bad game or even a great game behind them and move on to the next game without really dwelling on what happened 7 days earlier.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. That wasn't the way we play football, and they know that's not the way they play football. It starts with the head coach, and then it trickles to the quarterback, and then it trickles to the rest of the team. I mean, when you know you got a great head coach, a great coaching staff, and then you know you got a great quarterback that's just going to stay even-keeled, and you know that no matter what the situation is, you're going to be in the ball game. You're going to be okay. I think that's the sense of the air around here. We're going to be okay. Teams get pounded. Teams lose a game. I mean, Denver got pounded last night. San Diego gets pounded by Miami. But all those teams have great quarterbacks, just like we've always had a great quarterback and a great head coach here in Indy with Payton, Coach Dungy, Coach Caldwell, Coach Pagano with Andrew Luck. I mean, when you got those two things, you know you're always going to be okay because you're always going to have a guy that's going to go out there and keep you in the ball game no matter what's going on and at any cost. And you're always going to have a head coach that's going to make you prepare the way you need to prepare every week to be in that ball game. Now, the same can be said on the other side of tonight's game. Coach Tom Coughlin, I mean, he is a heck of a football coach. I played under him for a year. He demands a lot out of you, but he's always going to have your back. And Eli Manning, he's having a really good year. Much better in terms of certain things that he was not very good at in last year. I mean, his yards per catcher is low, so I like him to go down the football field a little bit more. But his completion percentage is up, his turnovers are down, and that's what they need out of him. And I think that with that kind of makeshift offensive line, it took them a little while to get going, starting to get going a little bit. They've been running the football more this year. I think they're one of the top 4 teams in rushing percentages here at 45%. So they've been taking a lot of pressure off his shoulders, but they know that when they need to win a game, it's going to be on the arm of Eli.
Jim, talk a little more about playing for that year under Coach Coughlin. I think of him as an old-school coach that seems to get more out of his guys than about anybody in the league, it seems like, and how it is that he's able to kind of formulate a team. He's got some good players without having any great players and get as much as he's gotten out of those guys.
Yeah, like I said, he expects a lot out of you, but you always know that if you need him, he's going to have your back. If you give him 110%, everybody makes a big deal about him turning the clocks, back. So, if you're on time for a meeting, you're late. I mean, that was a little bit of a headache because, a 20-minute drive in Jersey or New York can be an hour and a half if there's traffic, and there's only one way to get there. So you got to leave an hour and a half early just to know you're going to make it on time. But he's going to shoot you straight. He's going to shoot you from the hip, let you know how it is. But he's also going to talk to you man-to-man. And he was a heck of a coach, and I had the honor of playing for him for a year. I wish I would have had played for him for longer. Yeah. Especially since the year after I leave, they go and win the Super Bowl in Indianapolis. But that's neither here nor there. So, but he's going to have his team ready. He's not getting the production out of some guys that he wants, that he needs, but he's getting a lot out of guys that you don't expect. The stars aren't shining for them right now, but they got a lot of role players that are playing. And they had a really rough start preseason, beginning of the season, and I think they were embarrassed a couple weeks ago heading into their bye week, and they have a lot to prove as well.
Jim, this is a game that maybe I kind of think I'm going to know halfway through the first quarter what the Colts are going to be, and I'm going to be looking defense. I thought they really lacked, energy and aggression at Pittsburgh. Do you think that you're going to know, or I guess maybe what are you going to be looking for early in the game to say, okay, they're on their game, as opposed to, okay, it's going to be a tough night? Is it defense? Is it offensive execution? What do you want to see?
Well, on defense, what I didn't like last week is the lack of communication. I mean, we weren't able to get any pressure on Big Ben. I mean, when we rushed 4, he had a lot of time. When we brought pressure, they spread us out. They either picked it up with the extra blocker or they throw their hot route, and it really seemed like we couldn't get in a rhythm. But what I really didn't like is when we do like Pittsburgh would get into their bunch looks with their wide receivers or the stacked looks, and then they twist the releases off the line of scrimmage, and there was a lot of miscommunication. You'd have an outside receiver running an under route, and the defense wasn't sure if we were supposed to in and out that coverage, where the inside guy takes him, or play straight man-to-man, where I'm running with him across the field, and they'd have 2 guys chasing one guy and leaving one guy wide open to catch the ball for a first down on key third downs.
Jim,
I'm going to be looking at if we can get pressure on Big Ben, if we can, our communication is better in the back end. Vontae's playing today, even though he suffered that knee injury early in last week's game, so maybe that contributed to a little bit of the miscommunication issues. Offensively, put points on the board. I mean, we had that great drive at the beginning of the game, and then we get down, we have a miscommunication. It looked like the receiver's supposed to come back to the quarterback. He rounds off the route. The throw goes high and wide. It's an incompletion. We got to kick the field goal. They come down and score. You know, we don't do anything with the ball. They score again, pick six. Now we're down 21-3. So that's kind of what I'm looking for at the beginning of this game, because the Giants, they're not very good in the first quarter and they're not very good in the third quarter. Teams get big leads on them. Can't put points on the board, can't stop anybody. So if we're going to really be in this game and really be in it to win it, we need to jump on them in the first quarter and after halftime.
It's clear that Pittsburgh is going to keep doing this. It wasn't an accident what they did to the Colts when we saw what they did last night to Baltimore. Jim, I got one more for you here. I want to ask you about traveling for these Monday night games like this. When players have this extra time on their hands, I know you guys aren't necessarily wandering out into the world there, but how do you handle the trip on the Sunday? You got a Sunday night and all that Monday of free time to kind of get yourself and then get into game mode come 8:30 on Monday night.
Yeah, these are a little rough. Almost the downtime can almost wear you out, if that makes sense, just because you're sitting there and you want to play, you want to get to the game, and you just got to. So hurry up and wait. And that's the most difficult part. I mean, you try to not eat too much, try not to rest too much, lay in bed, watch a movie. You know, the coaches usually do a pretty good job of having meetings the night before and then having meetings early that day to then give you a couple hours before you got to head over to the stadium. And then you got to make sure you don't get over the stadium, get hyped up too early, because then you're drained right before game time. And then you try to get hyped up again, and it takes a little while. So it's like you try to have a balance of not worrying about the game, but then worrying about the game, looking over your notes, making sure you're fully prepared. But then it's almost like you can be too prepared, and then everything kind of starts to blur together. So it's definitely an interesting balance when you're playing a Monday night game and you got almost a day and a half to sit here and wait until you actually go over to the stadium.
All right, plenty of time to get ready tonight. Have a good show on the radio there with Bob Lamey tonight, and we'll look forward to talking to you next week.
I appreciate it, guys. Have a great rest of the show. We'll see you next week.
Thanks, Jim. Enjoy the game tonight there. Jim Sorgi joining us on the phone from New York. He'll be on the Colts radio broadcast coming up tonight here. Our coverage on RTV6 again starts at 5 o'clock, pregame coverage all over town. We got our live crew in New York that are getting ready to dial in. We'll hear from Dave First and Michael Grady coming up here in just a couple of minutes. It's an interesting perspective, though, to hear about that, because you play so many 1 o'clock Sunday games that these guys, even for the media, we have this rhythm to it. We talk to them on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, you got X time, and everything happens, and then you throw one of these primetime games in there, and everything's just is way out there.
Well, the one good thing with the Colts, though, when you're going good, is this isn't really new to them.
Sure.
This is
That's true.
This is their fourth primetime game, I believe it is.
This season, yeah.
And they'll probably have, they got one more, well, coming out of the bye, they got
the New England game.
New England game.
Yep.
They'll probably have maybe a flex game, maybe. So they'll have, they're used to having 5 or 6. I remember Luck's first year, we had like all 1 o'clock games.
All of them, yep.
Except for the Thursday night game, which the media loves 1 o'clock games. So they do have that, but I think it's hard for the media too, because not that anyone cares about that, but you're waiting around all day, doing nothing, piddling around, and then you get to the stadium at like 6 o'clock to kind of get to work. And if it's that for us, how it is for the players, you've got to restructure your day. And I'm sure the coaches keep them to where they're not in their bed, in the rooms all day doing nothing. So. But it's an adjustment.
That's why those guys are so wired up when you see these Sunday night, Monday night games that they are set to go. All right, we've got our crew in New York-ish, let's say. Here's the thing. It's New York everything, but all of what's taking place for the most part is in New Jersey. And we have our crew in the beautiful burg of Hoboken. Look at that. Dave First is out in paradise right now on the East Coast. It's sunny at least, Dave, but how you doing otherwise this afternoon?
It's good. The wind is a little brisk. They told us it was going to die down today. So far, that has not happened. So that might cause some havoc for, the Pat McAfees and the Adam Vinatieri's of the world. But it's 50 degrees, and so far so good here in the New York, New Jersey tri-state area. I'm going to kind of do what you did to us when you were in Vegas last week. I'm going to show our surroundings.
Show it off.
This is lovely Hoboken, New Jersey. Right on the river, right on the Hudson.
Oh, very nice.
Very nice. But let me spin around here and show you,
ladies
and gentlemen.
Hey, look at that.
New York. The town's so nice, they named it twice.
Right.
We've got the Empire State Building right here. I'm going to try to point at this right there.
Yeah, very nice.
Further back, Rockefeller Plaza, where folks that watch NBC at times.
Yeah.
That way. But really, the story here in New York today, I'll spin around.
Yep, keep going. There it is.
How about that? Huh?
Yeah.
One World Trade Center.
Yep.
otherwise known as the Freedom Tower, which, by the way, opens today.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of security in that area, as there would be anyway. But big story here in New York that One World Trade is finally opening up 13 years, of course, after 9/11. So a big, big day here in New York.
Yeah, I read that online. Condé Nast Publishing getting their first set of employees in there, moving everybody else in after the first of the year. But very cool there with the tower opening. So interesting day to be there. We saw you guys in Times Square last night. Did you survive Times Square and the city?
Yeah, when you head to Times Square these days, it used to be just the people's courtyard area. I mean, you hang out, but now they've really commercialized the whole thing, and there's like 4 or 5 Elmos. Guys dressed up as Elmo walking around. I think we saw a couple of Minnie Mouses, a Captain America, and invariably they're all there trying to make money. They all want folks to take their pictures. I'm just turning around here and get a little sun on my face. There we go. Hi.
Hey.
They all want to see, hey, get your picture with Elmo. And it costs you. It's like $5 or $10, whatever you want to tip these folks. But invariably, after they're done taking pictures, all of a sudden you see a guy with the Elmo head popping in the back. And he's got a butt. You want another picture, honey? Come on up here. Hang on.
By the way, the Captain America that you saw last night looked like he had a few too many mozzarella sticks at TGI Fridays.
Yeah, Captain America needs to do a couple of sit-ups.
You caught the team as they pulled into Jersey City last night, the arrival there. I know it's a kind of a brief encounter with those guys, but can you get a sense of the energy about this team?
Yeah, and there was an energy as those guys climbed off their buses. I mean, you could tell they want to put what happened in Pittsburgh behind them and put out some better tape out there. Although I was talking to Greg Toller, one of the many interviews we have coming up in our coverage that begins at 5 o'clock on RTV6, talking to Greg. I said, man, when you put that kind of tape out there, when you got a team like Pittsburgh with these bunched formations, putting 4 wideouts out there in the line of scrimmage and maybe even a tight end or 2, and you see the success that Pittsburgh had against your defense, what's going to happen tonight against the New York Giants? He goes, yeah, absolutely. We're going to expect to see the same sort of thing. And the Giants have a couple big tight ends, 6'6", 6'4" tight ends, just like Heath Miller from Pittsburgh. So I wouldn't be surprised if Tom Coughlin and company try to do the exact same thing that the Steelers did a week ago yesterday.
Yeah, they call it a copycat league, and until you prove you can stop it, you're going to see it. So that's why I say I think early on we may know first quarter is which defense we're going to see. And again, I'll be very surprised. I don't know how you look, Dave, but I'll be very surprised if this defense isn't energized and more closer to what we saw against Cincinnati than what we saw against Pittsburgh.
I would hope so. I want to see what happens. Now, Eric Walden's out. So I'm assuming, Chap, and chime in on this, does this mean Andy Studebaker gets the start at linebacker?
Either he or Victor Butler. I thought they kind of like Studebaker to come off the bench, so maybe Victor Butler gets to step up and play, but it'll be Butler, Studebaker, and Jonathan Newsom. Newsom's your pass rush guy. So I tell you, I think they're going to miss Walden as long as he's out. He's not been what people thought they were getting. He's been pretty solid for the last year and a half.
I agree. I think Walden's really come on this year. And you look on the other side, Bjorn Werner has had, 4 sacks so far. So he's obviously having a nice season. So defensively, these guys have to step up. And Eli Manning, say what you want about Eli and the record for the Giants, but Eli might be having statistically one of his better seasons. He's completing like 65% of his passes. If that holds, career high for Manning. So he's playing better, and he's got Odell Beckham out there, the rookie, and I guarantee we're going to see a lot of Odell tonight.
Dave, our pregame coverage you mentioned starts tonight at 5 o'clock on RTV6. You had a chance to sit down with Coach Pagano before the trip to New York here and talk about kind of this first part of the season and this week in particular. What can we expect out of that chat coming up here this evening?
Yeah, he was very honest about what's going on with the team. So we'll sit down with Chuck. We also have a sit down with Greg Toller, Adam Vinatieri, the ageless one, 41 years young. He turns 42 next month, and he's having really one of his better seasons. Hasn't missed a field goal or a PAT yet. And if you don't know the story of Zach Kerr, we encourage you to tune in tonight. He's a backup defensive lineman who sadly lost his father when he was just 4 months old. He was killed outside of a clothing store that they ran in the Maryland area. But here's a guy who, made it to the NFL. He's an undrafted free agent, living the life, enjoying it, but has no bond there to share it with his father. And he talks about that, talks about his mom as well. It's an emotional and inspiring story as well. So we're all loaded for bear tonight on our coverage that begins at 5 o'clock. I'm going to show you what our photographers are doing here real briefly.
Oh, look at them hard
Dave
at work.
Marin and Jason Ronimus.
Wow.
What are you guys watching the show? Look
Yeah.
at it.
Hey, nice.
Get this on Skype.
Nice.
We're
Look at
actually
this.
watching the show.
You're gonna break the system. Oh my goodness.
See, what do you do when you Skype?
When you Skype and Skype?
Broadcast. Do you
Man
just go
alive.
to some kind of mind warp or
That
something?
that was like
What
4D right there, man.
If
exactly.
only they
Fifth
had like
dimension.
fishing poles over the edge, looking for lunch.
Yeah. Can they fish in the Hudson there? Get you guys some sushi for lunch?
I don't know. I don't know if you want to do that. This is the Hudson.
Probably not.
And
Yeah.
The good news is we haven't seen any bodies lately.
Good.
That's good.
That's good. All right. Did you guys leave Grady in Manhattan? Is that the deal?
Grady was doing his show. He's going to be joining us a little bit later. We're going to grab some lunch. Ended up an interview I just did with John Gruden.
Yeah.
John, he said the hour-long production meeting they had, all they talked about for an hour was T.Y. Hilton. So expect a lot of T.Y. Hilton camera shots in tonight's game.
Okay. We'll look forward to that. You guys go to like Top of the Rock or the Rainbow Room or something. Put a good one on the company tab for lunch. Tavern on the Green.
We'll knock it out.
Yeah.
I got a company credit card. Yeah, we're
Nice.
doing it.
Or if nothing else, get to Shake Shack and get back to Jersey.
Once again, ladies and gentlemen, Hoboken,
Manhattan.
and New York City. There you go.
Well done. All right, Davey, thanks. We'll see you at the stadium tonight, 5
All
o'clock.
right, guys. Thanks.
All right, Dave first on Skype out there with the Colts in Hoboken/Manhattan. They've been all over the tri-state already here this afternoon with this. It's interesting to hear him talk about talking with Gruden there in the ESPN crew tonight. T.Y. Hilton, we talked about this. Reggie coming back for the game here tonight and kind of that dynamic of trying to watch a defense figure out who gets the focus.
We've talked about that. Maybe it was last night. How when Ty comes in, he really benefited from the attention on Reggie.
Right.
So now it really could flip around. All of a sudden, you've got to pay attention to T.Y. Hilton, or he's going to drop 200 yards on you.
Yeah.
And now, so all of a sudden, maybe Reggie has a little more room to work. So it's amazing to kind of watch the transition. We saw it from Marvin to Reggie, and now we're going to see it, I think, from Reggie to T.Y. because T.Y. and with Moncrief, two young receivers. That's what the dynamics of this receiver corps is outstanding.
Yeah.
You get the veteran guys, even Hakeem Nicks. You get the young kids who T.Y. is already an emerging star.
Yeah.
And Dante's shown us quite a bit, so it's a great dynamics for this group.
It's interesting to have a pair like that, too. Dante, who is a big, athletic, tall, lanky guy.
Which they normally don't have.
That's it. And T.Y. Hilton kind of falls into that body type that Marvin had, kind of that small, diminutive.
They call him 5'9", 178.
No.
Not on his best day.
5'9" in tall cleats,
Yeah.
178 in heavy pads, maybe.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
That's interesting to see how that comes out of that. All right, again, RTV 6, 5 o'clock. Pre-game coverage starts tonight for us there, and we'll hear from Dave and Michael out there at MetLife Stadium. Right now, we are going to go back to New York on the phone. We got the New York end of the thing here. The Giants tonight, our buddy Rob Powers from out there, WABC, is giving us a call here on Horseplay today on the IndyChannel.com and on the RTV 6 app. Rob, thanks for giving us a ring here. The Giants have been kind of all over the board this season. What do you expect we're going to see out of this team tonight?
Well, they hope, and Giants fans hope, that they see the team that they saw in the middle part of the season. They need to find some kind of consistency. They need Eli to have a big game. They got to get this running game in gear again. Everything that they haven't been for the last couple of weeks, they need tonight. I just spoke with ESPN's John Gruden. He said, "Where is that? You know, the Giants defense is known for its pass rush. Where has that been? That's got to be big tonight against Luck in that offense." I know the fans and even some of the players are looking forward to seeing Bradshaw and Nix on the field again tonight. The Giants need this game. They need to play like they did in that middle stretch of the season.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Does this seem like a must-win, even though it's only week 9? Not that it's desperate by any means, but they're starting to feel the pressure already.
I don't know that a Coach Coughlin, the Coughlin coach team feels pressure at this point of the season. He's got them. You know, everybody's head is screwed on straight as far as what this game means.
Right.
Is it a big game? Heck yeah, it is a big game. They need to win this. Must win? You know, we'll get to that when we get to that.
Yeah,
I just left first, by the way.
First is in Hoboken right now.
I just left him.
I
just saw him.
Yeah, he just had the Gruden interview as well. We left him in Hoboken. He Skyped in. We had him on his cell phone right there, hanging out on the Hudson River. And
I was at the hotel with him.
Okay, he should have brought you. He should have brought you out on the
uglier and uglier.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, we should. It's kind of like
friendly fire.
These guys have known each other for long enough that they're getting old together. That's fine. He should have brought you out. Should have brought you out on the Skype call there. I don't know why we're doing a telephone. We could have put you on TV right now.
I don't know.
Oh,
it was a beautiful day in Hoboken.
It looks like it's nice and windy out there at this point.
It was a beautiful day on the river. It was great.
Very nice.
Hey, Rob, so far it looks like, again, the numbers say this is one of Eli's, I guess, more efficient years so far. Is that the way you look at it? They're not off the charts as far as yards and all this, but 14 touchdowns, 5 he's taking care of the football, which he killed them last year with the turnovers. That was an emphasis, obviously, in the offseason to clean things up.
He said that was, but I think it's more of a product of the change in offensive coordinators. Gilbride is the only coordinator Eli knew through his NFL career, left the team last year. They brought in the guy from the Packers, and it's a West Coast offense in I guess, name, but in theory, it's a short, controlled passing game. So he's got that deadly long ball that we've seen a couple times this year, but most of I would say the efficiency is due to a new offense, a new look to the offense. And he doesn't have Victor Cruz anymore. He didn't have Odell Beckham Jr. for a long time. So the chances to go deep maybe weren't there. So the swing passes and the short game inside 20 yards, they were there in the early part of the season.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, Odell Beckham Jr. brings a whole different, just a vitality to this offense. It's completely different with that kid here. And one of the things that they told him when Cruz got hurt, they told Beckham that your chance to play like a rookie ended last week. Now you got to step up and play. You got to play your role and everybody else's role. You got to have a part in this offense. He seems he just wants to contribute so hard and so badly that he had a good game his first time out, and we'll see what he can do tonight against the Colts.
Yeah, Rob, how critical was that Cruz injury though? They're still trying. Are they still trying to kind of recover from that?
Yeah, you know what, Victor is more to this team than a guy and a roster spot. If you think about where Victor came from, he came from Paterson, New Jersey, wasn't highly recruited for college, came to the Giants as one of those guys that just worked harder than anybody else, wasn't drafted, he just showed up. If you look around the league, guys respect that. Yeah. Guys in locker rooms look up to players like that, like, holy cow, he can do that. And he got paid, too. So that was the other thing. He got paid in the offseason. So players respect that. And he holds so much in that locker room. I know Eli's the face. Victor Cruz may be the heart. And, that heart left a couple weeks ago. I know the first game that they had after that, Victor, 2 days out of surgery, put together an inspirational video for the guys to watch the night before a game. Who does that?
Yeah.
Victor Cruz did that.
Yeah, great for a franchise to have a guy like that. Really, kind of every franchise wishes every franchise tries to have a guy like that. Very few of them do, and that's really a great dynamic that he brings to the team right there. Hey, what? Just on a side note, what would be on the pregame menu at MetLife Stadium for the media tonight?
They have a good spread up there. I can't tell you exactly what they got going on. You know what's going on tonight at MetLife at the stadium? It's they call it a Giants homecoming game. It's the Giants' 90th anniversary this year. So a lot of former Giants are going to be in the stadium, and at halftime, Michael Strahan's going to be presented with his Hall of Fame ring.
Wow!
So there'll be a special program at halftime, and Michael and Kelly they do their show right here in our building downstairs.
Yep.
Earlier today, there were a busload of former Giant players and their wives in the audience for live with Kelly and Michael today. It was really something. Strahan was really taken aback. It was really neat.
That's pretty good. I've been to the show there once before back in the Regis days there, and that's a neat setup and very cool that they're going to have that.
Yeah.
They'll be all sorts of fired up for that.
My office is right above their studio. So when they have a musical act, man, my floor shakes.
Wow. Okay. As long as the music's good, I don't know. It's hit and miss on that morning show, I think.
Yeah.
That's it. Robbie, thanks for the call, man. Do enjoy the game tonight.
No, I love WRTV. I love my in-laws still live. My wife is from Indianapolis. We go back as much as we can. We love Indy.
Yeah. Good. We like having you here. You give First a little heck when you see him out there tonight. And,
Heck yeah. That's my job.
You might pop up on Channel 6 at some point tonight. I have no idea.
Have a great day, guys.
Thanks, Rob. We'll talk to you
Enjoy the game
soon.
tonight.
There you go. Rob Powers from WABC covering the Giants out there. Former Indy guy, making it happen out in the Big Apple, and going to be there tonight for the big one between the Colts and the Giants. We did bring one graphic in here real quick. Let's run some numbers through here real quick, Seth, if you want to pop that up. That'd be the AFC South standings coming into Week 9 here as we take a look back from yesterday. Another couple of losses here has the Colts at a pretty good position, chap, to go up 2 games with a win tonight after Houston took one on the chin from the Eagles yesterday, and Tennessee had their bye, and Jacksonville's still Jacksonville. But this 2 games up now as you get to that second half of the season gives you that buffer that you're looking for.
That's what you always take care of your business.
Yep.
I mean, you can only do what you can do. But when you see Philadelphia handle Houston, it puts them another game back. And if you take care of business tonight, and then you've got the bye, then you get that 3-game stretch with New England, and it's Jacksonville and Houston,
Washington, correct.
You can really sort of determine things in the division, and then you worry about, can we push to a 2 seeding, a 3 seeding, whatever. So you take care of your business, but you always get that one eye looking at what Houston's doing, because that's the team that's going to challenge you for the division.
Still got the home game with Houston coming up here in December as well, so that one, depending on how things pan out, that actually by week 15, I think that is, could be maybe a division clincher by the time the Colts get to that one right there. Okay, final thoughts on tonight. What do you think? We talked about a lot here in the last 2 or 3 days. Ultimately, what's kind of the biggest key for this one tonight?
Play defense.
Yeah.
Play defense. Don't let this team that's missing their leading rusher in Victor Cruz, don't let them get out there and drop 30 on you.
Yeah.
If you do that, then there's a panic mode for your defense, and I don't think that's going to happen. I think it matters to have Vontae Davis back. It matters, I think, to have another game for Jarrell Freeman, who's still kind of working his way back. I will be shocked if this defense lays another egg, because I think the offense is going to do what it does, although it needs to quit turning the ball over as much as it's doing. But to me, it's all about how the defense plays. Energy. Don't let them get away from what they want to control the ball and all that. Don't let them really do what they want to do. Force them to do what you want them to do and what you can keep them from doing, and let your offense win the ball game for you.
Okay, we'll see how it goes. Week number 9, again, RTV6 pregame coverage starts at 5 o'clock. We'll have a crew hanging out with the fans here in Indy. We've got the crew in New York. Chap will be with us tonight for our postgame coverage as well, as the game kicks off right around 8:15. And we'll be live on RTV6 tonight right around 11:30 when we get our postgame coverage started. We'll have locker room reaction and everything that goes with it right here for the Colts and the Giants tonight. That does it here from the Palomino downtown. I'm going to have a little, yes, there it is. Look, I'm going to pour me a refill, get this thing warmed up on the way out. We're going to work
your bottle back here.
We're going to work on the voice. We're going to top that off with the good stuff on the way out the door. Thanks to our whole crew, Mike Chappell and everybody here. We'll see you back here next Monday, 12:30 for another edition of Horseplay on theindychannel.com. Until then, have a great afternoon. We'll see you tonight on RTV6.